Yes, sir. You can start now.
All right, thank you. Hello and good morning to all of you who have joined us for this open house session organized by OP Jindal Global University in collaboration with Deakin University, Australia, to interact with our students as well as prospective students in India who have enrolled in this unique program of study that known as Global BCom Honours Program offered by two premier universities in Australia and India. My name is Dr. Mercy Debra, and I am the Vice Dean of Admissions and Outreach at OP Jindal Global University. And I'm extremely delighted to welcome all of you for this session on the theme, What It Is to Study Commerce and Business on Campuses in both India and Australia. Before we commence today's program and I call upon our panelists for today's session, I just want to take this opportunity to introduce this program. The Global BCom Honours Program is the first program being launched under the India-Australia Global Education Initiative. This program offers innovative models of global education, training, and research for students in India. It also aims to provide opportunities for Indian students to have an international campus experience. Students will commence their studies at JGU in India and subsequently transfer to Deakin University campus in Australia. We have today, for today's session, our Professor Ashish Bhardwaj, who is the Dean of the Jindal School of Banking and Finance. Professor Bhardwaj serves as the Dean of the Jindal Global and Banking and Finance School, JSBF, which was established in 2018. Professor Bhardwaj writes on many range of issues, specifically on the role of technology innovation, intellectual property, and the interface of finance, law, and technology and new technologies. He has written in various peer-reviewed journals across the world and has also collaborated with top-ranking universities and biggest technology companies in the world, as well as various multilateral organizations and government departments towards contributing towards evolving a national IP policy, strengthening national innovation systems, licensing of standard essential patents, and on several issues which border around an interface between law and economics. I must add that, as a founding dean of the Jindal Global Banking and Finance School, it is Professor Bhardwaj's dynamic leadership and his ability to harness the best of talent and bring together the best of faculty members from India and overseas that has really positioned Jindal School of Banking and Finance as one of the leading banking and finance schools in India in such a short span of time. We are also joined by Professor Colin Higgins from Deakin University. Professor Colin Higgins is a professor of management in the Department of Management, Deakin Business School, and Associate Dean, International and Partnerships in the Faculty of Business and Law at Deakin University, Australia. He teaches strategy and strategic management in Deakin University, MBA, and is an internationally recognized researcher in how business organizations navigate sustainability challenges. His research is published in leading international journals, and he's also a co-editor of the Journal of Business and Society and is a division chair-elect of the Social Issues and Management Division of the Academy of Management. It's good to have you both, Professor Bhardwaj and Professor Higgins, for this session. To commence the proceedings, I invite Professor Bhardwaj to provide insights to our students as well as prospective students who seek to explore possibilities of studying the Global BCom program. Over to you, Professor Ashish.
Thank you very much, Mercy, for that warm introduction and for welcoming all the participants. Once again, my name is Ashish Bhardwaj, and I'm very, very happy to be here in this open house. Colin and I spoke briefly before we started. We will try to keep our respective remarks as short as possible because the idea of this open house is to take as many questions as possible from both applicants, prospective students, and their parents. Any doubt, any concern, any question that we can address within the next 40 to 50 minutes would be is what we have in mind for this session. I also welcome Professor Colin Higgins, who's joining this open house virtually, but he's physically present in India right now. He's in New Delhi. He's taken the time out to come all the way. He's going to be meeting some parents and some students in this visit at some point in time. So thank you very much, Colin, for being here in this month. We are also joined by a few people, and maybe you'll see their responses in the chat window. There are two different sets of people who are kind of behind this entire effort. One set of people are part of the Deakin University's India office team. It's one of the very few universities in Australia, globally also, that have a physical presence in India and in Delhi. Deakin University was the first Australian university to enter India more than 25 years ago. That shows the amount of commitment and the faith that university had on the Indian higher education system. And for a very long time, they've had an office and a very dedicated team led by Ms. Ravneet Pava in the heart of the city of Delhi. The other set of people who are in this call and who may respond to some of your questions on the chat window are Jindal Global University's admissions and outreach office team members, including my own faculty colleague, Professor Chavi Asrani, who's Assistant Dean of the Outreach and Promotion Office, and Mr. Anish Thiman, who's the Head of Admissions. All right, so this was just to set the stage so that you know who's responding to your questions and who to reach out to. With that, let me very quickly, Mercy has already given you a background and context of this program. I want to take all of us back about 8 months. That was really the genesis of this program. It was on 1st of October last year when a very exclusive strategic partnership was envisaged and signed by some leading distinguished people in both countries, Vice Chancellor Ian Martin of Deakin University, our own JGU's founding Vice Chancellor, Professor Raj Kumar, Ambassador Biggs, Australia's ambassador to India, Ravneet Pava, Colin was there, I was there, and that partnership was launched on the 1st of October. It's a strategic partnership which is called JADE, J-A-D-E, which stands for Jindal and Deakin Educational Partnership. So when you hear this word or written somewhere, you should understand that the Global BCom is one of the many initiatives under this big, ambitious JADE partnership between our two institutions. And the vision really is to create future leaders that will have enhanced international skills and a very evolved intercultural understanding of the world, emanating from the Indian socio-cultural system or the Australian socio-cultural system. The Global BCom program, as the name suggests, is truly global in nature. It involves 3 different degrees, 2 at the undergraduate level, 1 at the postgraduate level. JGU offers a global Bachelor of Commerce degree as part of this partnership. We are the only university in India to offer this, the Global BCom. The other undergraduate degree under this partnership is Bachelor of Business, also called as BBiz, which is going to be offered by Deakin University under this partnership. And finally, a much highly sought after MBA International degree from Deakin Business School. That's broadly the nature of the partnership. What's very exciting, there'll be a number of things that Colin and I will mention that make this entire partnership very unique and very attractive. But I can think of a couple of them right away. First is that more than 65% of Deakin Business School faculty have overseas professional or study experience that may include India, which means that they are very well suited and situated to offer a global education. Similarly, 50%, now it's 55% of the faculty members of Jindal School of Banking and Finance, which is the 8th school of JGU, have overseas professional or work experience. Meaning that when we say it's a global BCom program, you will really see the implications and the real meaning of the term global play out, not just in the faculty who are going to be teaching, but also in the nature of the curriculum, the courses that are taught, the pedagogy that's going to be used, and the learning outcomes and skills that learners are going to imbibe. All of that we spent a lot of time curating the program with the deliberate desire and intent to make it truly global in its outcome and impact. Another question before something that I want to address right away is, why did JGU decide to do or undertake this partnership with Deakin University? Well, there are 2-3 reasons. The first one is we do have more than 300 international partners, but we really have a handful of strategic partners. And Deakin is part of that group. And we strongly believe that what we intend to achieve in this India-Australia huge, enormous potential that exists between our two nations, not just in higher education, but also the cultural exchange, economic exchange. Deakin University is uniquely positioned to help us leverage all of those, all that potential. Australia continues to be a popular international educational destination for Indian students, which is why a lot of you are keen to know more about this program, and you're here today in this call. What I want to add to that is when a lot of Indian students desire to study in Australia, some of the topics that they typically choose, and I'm basing this on students of JGU, commerce, finance, business students in our university who end up going to Australia, even outside this Deakin Jindal partnership, they typically like to study more and deeper about issues like new age commerce, technology like finance, new business, and all of these areas have taken a new and a more nuanced meaning in the post-pandemic context. And this popularity for these disciplines and popularity for Australia as a global educational hub is, of course, growing phenomenally as international mobility is taken off one more time. I'll end by saying that how do we see the graduates of this unique partnership playing a role in the global economy or in the Indian or Australian economy is through many different ways. First one is, of course, how digital commerce, e-commerce, new age business is playing out in both our nations and around the world. But also, the when we talk about pandemic and its impact on business in general, then I'm sure you've all heard or read about how the supply chains have been disrupted in the last several months. We made a very conscious choice and a decision to focus on the high priority areas of project management and supply chain management, which are two very, very valuable specializations that we have embedded in the postgraduate segment of this partnership. And we expect that students are going to learn about project management skills and how to really execute and administer supply chains so that they can make a very, very formidable impact to these two highly disrupted areas. There's a lot that I'll share, but hopefully that'll be in the form of answers to questions that some of you will pose. And before we do that, I'm going to hand it over to Professor Colin Higgins, who will share some introductory remarks with all of you. Over to you, Colin.
Thank you very much, Ashish, and thank you to everybody that's here today, and including our team sitting behind the scenes. You're absolutely right, Ashish, in terms of the innovation that sits behind this partnership, innovation in terms of the model that we've been able to put together, innovation in terms of how we've put to the front and center of the approach that we're taking around students' employability, and innovation in terms of how we've built a program that genuinely leverages the strengths of both universities. We know that of most critical importance to everybody entering higher education today is how does this position them for the job market? How does this position a student to secure that job, to get that job, and to be in the best possible position to grow professionally and to grow personally? And it's been that guiding principle that's really sat behind what it is that we've brought together and what it is that we are so proud to bring to the market now. We're so proud of the way in which the technology that exists now and the way in which the universities think strategically about education to provide those types of outcomes. And I think what is most special about this is that we do live in a very global business environment now. We know from the advisory boards that we have and the industry partners that we have at Deakin and at OPJ that the ability to build global networks and to think conceptually in that global way is of utmost importance. Those supply chain challenges, those challenges in terms of thinking about innovation and products and services and business models do require that global mindset. Now, I can stand up in front of a class in Melbourne and talk about the global mindset, but what this program delivers is the ability to be immersed in that global situation, to learn from experts in India, to learn at a high quality school in India, and to complement that with the industry partners the expertise of the faculty in Australia as well. And that's a very, very powerful differentiator in that global job market. The employers say to us consistently that we're looking for graduates that have that mindset, that have that experience, and most importantly, have invested in their personal and professional development to provide themselves with those skills that will add value and to build those organizations of the future. And I really like the way that Ashish phrased this idea of creating future leaders. This is critically important for professionals going forward. It's what organizations are looking for, and it's what we consider to be our utmost responsibility as educators of top quality business schools. Our reputations rest on the ability to put together these types of innovative programs. So we're really excited about launching this program. We're really excited about the possibilities of leveraging the capabilities of both of the schools. And we're really excited about seeing not only what happens during the educational experience, but also where you as students go on to contribute and to thrive and flourish in the world before us. So really keen to hear your questions. We're here for the next 40, 50 minutes or so to answer your questions about how we can help you to achieve those goals going forward.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Collins, and thank you, Professor Ashish, for those valuable insights about the program. As Professor Collins and Professor Bhardwaj have said, that we will now open this session to take in some questions and queries from you students who've enrolled in this program, as well as some of the participants who are still exploring possibilities of studying in this global BCom program. We will take up open the next 15, 20 minutes, probably more time than that, to take your questions. We really urge each one of you to seize this opportunity to post your queries, either on the chats, or you could unmute your mic and you could post your question to our panelists. We are also joined by admissions teams and faculty, both from OP Jindal Global University and Deakin University. So this is a great opportunity for each one of you to, allay any of your concerns or queries that you may have. Over to all of you. We have a question from Kavya Agarwal. Kavya Agarwal asks that, I just want to be clear about the process of global BCom with Deakin University.
Is Kavya on the call? By process, do you mean the application process?
Kavya, would you like to unmute your mic, or we can... Kavya, would you like to unmute your mic? Professor Bhardwaj and Professor Collins are here to address your queries. Or Ashish, you could just...
Yeah, I can. Let me. I can see Kavya's. I don't know if that's the video switched on. It's some view that we see. So Kavya, the application process is the following. Because the first segment of this partnership is Global BCom Honors Program at Jindal Global University. That means that your application to the program will have to come to JGU. We have a common centralized application portal. I'll ask someone from the admissions team to share the link with you or get in touch with you after the call. And there you apply, you start your application. There are some very general questions about your candidature, your high school performance, very simple questions that you have to kind of furnish in that application. And after the application gets completed and you submit it, there's a brief interaction that the admissions team will schedule that will also include a faculty member and a representative from Deakin University as well. What we take into account before we give you an offer are 2-3 different criteria. The first one is, of course, a complete application form. The second is your interaction with the faculty. Remember, it's not really a grilling interview. It's an interaction because we want to understand whether this program is a good fit for you and which specialization in this program is a better fit for you, rather than really asking you about second derivatives or something like that. So that interaction also plays a role in the admissions process. And finally, there is an entrance exam that we accept. There is a JSAT, it's called Jindal Scholastic Admission Test. JSAT is, you can easily take that exam online. The details will be shared by the admissions office. And a JSAT score is what we need as the third and final element of the admissions process. We, of course, wait for your high school class 12 result to come, irrespective of the board and the school you're in. And based on all of these things together, JGU will give you an offer letter to join the Global BCom program. And more importantly, and this is important to understand, if you clear this entire process, which I'm sure you will, then alongside a JGU offer letter, you also get a provisional offer letter from Deakin University, which is going to kind of clear and remove a lot of uncertainties about your progression to Deakin University later on. Colin, would you like to add something?
No, I think that sums it up very nicely. I think what you can be assured about is that our teams are working very closely. We have an office here dedicated to this program in India, and there's a dedicated support process through OPJ. And of course, once you're in the program, you're being nurtured and supported in terms of your progression through to Deakin University Australia as well. The bottom line for us is we want you to succeed. We're really happy to provide you with what is required in order for you to make it through the admissions process to get started in a seamless way possible. When you come on shore to Deakin in Australia, we're here to welcome you into the second part of the process, but all of that is simple and straightforward from the outset. Reach out to us through the admissions centre at OPJ, or the Deakin University team here can help you every step of the way. That includes all the assistance that you require in terms of securing the student visa to travel to Australia, the requirement to secure that permit and that visa, and of course we line up all that support for when you arrive in country. We are there to welcome you into our classes and on campus in a very friendly environment. We're very much looking forward to making this a seamless end-to-end process.
We have another question from, there's one more student who is asking about the scholarship procedures. Banit Chavla is asked about, what is the procedure for scholarships both in India as well as Australia vis-a-vis this program?
I can start with that. Before I respond to Banit's question, Kavya, I hope we have answered your question. In case, after understanding the process of Global BCom, if you want to understand anything about the curriculum of the Global BCom program, what is being taught, who's going to teach it, similarly, what is going to be taught at Deakin, both at undergrad, postgrad level, and who's going to be teaching it, then please feel free to ask those questions. All right, Banit, excellent question about scholarships. A very quick answer is yes, there are some very promising and high impact scholarships that we have built into this program collectively with Deakin University. Just to reference it to the right page of the brochure, if you go to page number 25 of the document, you'll see a table with a lot of figures. And one of the rows in that table is about bursaries or scholarships that one can avail.
Okay, sir.
To the details. Yes?
Yeah, sir. Yeah, sir.
Oh, good, Banit. So, now let me tell you some of the specifics about the scholarship. How much is it? We can award up to 25% scholarship, which is quite a promising percentage of the total tuition fee that both universities are going to charge. How do you avail these? That's where the footnotes come in, isn't it? The scholarship amount and our decision to disburse it and award it to a student is based on two criteria. One is if you have a good score in your class 12, irrespective of the board that your school is affiliated with, and irrespective of the city where you are in, or the school that you are going to, we will consider an award of a scholarship to you. It is subjective. Every year, as you know, the threshold of grades and the range and variation and mean of high school grades vary. So we don't want to really keep a fixed threshold. It's relative. if we think that you've performed very well in your class 12, then your application for a scholarship or bursary will definitely be considered when you enter this partnership program in JGU. Similarly, to avail the bursary when you're finishing the global BCom at Deakin and you are preparing to move to a Deakin University in Australia, then also you can be awarded up to 25% scholarship. For that, we will look at your performance of the first 2-3 semesters that you will spend with us in global BCom. Remember, and I'm repeating few things deliberately for everyone to understand. The first 2 years of global BCom is on the campus of JGU. In our Sonipat campus, we only have one campus. And after the second year, you physically move to Australia. 2 years in Jindal implies 4 semesters. In the first 4 semesters, we will very closely look at your academic performance in the first 3 semesters before we make a decision on whether you are eligible for a bursary before you move to Deakin and how much bursary can you really avail. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you
You're
so much.
welcome.
We have a few more questions coming in.
All right, I can.
All right. There's a question from another attendee who's asked, what are the most popular majors at Deakin University? Probably with reference to the nature of subjects which are available, offered under this program.
So we have 2, don't we? We have 2 specializations available in this program. One is the project management, retail, and also the supply chain management majors. And these have been very purposefully designed on the basis of feedback that we've had from employers, where students typically end up getting jobs, and also to provide those the most opportunities to develop the sorts of skills that multinational organizations and global employers are looking for. So as you do move through those courses that are available to you include things like design thinking, change management, business analytics, retail management, services management, brand marketing. But most importantly, built into these majors is some real world industry connections through what we call work integrated learning or through internships. And what we've purposefully designed into the programs from that perspective is that you start to get exposure to Australian business organizations from day one. We don't leave it until the end. We don't leave it until the last semester. We don't leave it until you're nearly finished. We start to build in your exposure to those Australian business networks from day one. And that can include a whole range of different opportunities. It can include those formal internships where you do spend time working in Australian business organizations. Most of our courses, most of the units that you'll be studying will also have direct industry involvement as well. And that's because we know that starting to build your network early is so important to get a job. To give you an example, we've got lots and lots of stories of students that have been working in group projects and at undergraduate level in class where we have our industry experts coming in as mentors. And I was talking to somebody recently, and he's just got a terrific job in one of the banks in Australia. And I said, oh, how did this come about? How did you get this job? Tell me a little bit more about the process. And he said, oh, you know, when I was working on this group project with in that unit around change management, and there was those industry experts that came in, I managed to form a very strong relationship with that industry mentor. And when I was looking for a job, I went back to him and I said, would you mind being a referee for me as I start my search and start my journey into the job market? And this professional said to the student, yes, because I saw how you worked. I saw how you approached problems. I saw how you treated other people. I saw how you could think through the work that needed to be done. So what we've done in this program is provided the maximum number of opportunities within those specializations to start interacting with real life business organizations. We don't want to leave it till the end. We want to provide those multiple touch points for interacting with industry.
Professor Ashish, would you also like to weigh in on the kind of range of subjects that are offered at JGU?
I can. Before I do that, Colin, can you also touch upon the specializations at the MBA level?
Just a moment.
Or majors?
So we have a wide range of majors at the MBA level, and they cover a wide range of functional as well as more disciplinary based. Just a moment.
Sure. All right, let me say a few words before Colin is back. So when the question was asked about popular majors at Deakin, what you heard from Colin was what are the majors that at the undergraduate level you can take? Meaning when you move from Global BCom to Bachelor of Business, which is going to be your third year in total, then what can you specialize in your third year? And as Colin told us, there are two very uniquely curated specialization. One is project management and one is retail and supply chain management. And I'm just pushing him a little bit because maybe your question was about majors or specializations at the MBA level, which is the last 1.5 years of the partnership. And Colin is back.
Yes, so thank you very much. Just while I clarified that, you're absolutely right that the integrated program offers two main specializations. That's the supply chain specialization or major, and that retail and project management specialization. When it comes to the MBAI, that's a fixed program. So the MBAI is purposefully designed to be about the general management vocabulary. So the specialization comes in at that undergraduate pathway link, and then the MBAI is about that breadth of management diversity. So a good way to think about this when I talk to prospective students is imagine an orchestra. Imagine an orchestra where there's different parts of the orchestra focusing on different instruments. A specialization is where there's the wood instruments or the wind instruments or the drums or the other parts. That's where that specialization grounding comes from. The MBAI or the MBA component is a bit like the conductor of the orchestra. The conductor is about what's necessary to bring all of the parts of an organization or all of the parts of the orchestra together. So the conductor needs to know a little bit about each one of those parts of the orchestra or each one of those parts of the organization, but doesn't need to be a specialized player in each one of those. So that the very focused specialization comes in the undergraduate part of the program, and then we top that up and expand and provide you with that overarching management vocabulary as the conductor in the MBAI component. So that gives you the vocabulary to talk to the accountants and the CFO, to talk to the marketing people, to talk to the management people, to talk to the sales people within an organization. That's the component of this integrated program that brings that depth to your experience and your knowledge.
Thank you, Colin.
We have a couple of more questions coming in from some of the attendees. We have Kavya Agarwal again posting a question. She wants to know that what are the specific requirements to move forward with, from JGU, JSBF after 2 years after completion of their period of study here, and before they move into Deakin University, are there any specific cost-related requirements that they need to complete?
Right, another very good question, Kavya, because this, I'm sure some other participants are also kind of thinking about this. As I said, when you fulfill all the criterias, when you're filling out the JGU application form for Global BCom, you are simultaneously also fulfilling the eligibility criteria for entering into Deakin. We have planned the application process like that deliberately. Which is why when you complete all these steps and you get an offer letter from JGU, you also get a provisional offer letter from Deakin, which means that unless there is a major stumbling block, uh, your move and mobility from JGU in India to Deakin in Australia is pretty much certain. Now, what do I mean by these major disruptions or interruptions? It could be for some reason you are unable to complete the coursework, or you do not get a certain outcome or performance which you expect, and you want to spend some more time to kind of do better in those courses, which are really exceptions and outliers. But typically, the entire class, the entire cohort of the global BCom students, they'll be mentored, so we don't anticipate any kind of hiccups, any disruptions. There's a lot of we've conceived of this entire range of support services, mentoring services. We call them office hours with faculty members, which is when you can meet them and discuss your problems, both academic and non-academic. So all of this will ensure, and there's going to be guidance coming in, information flowing in from Deakin as well, while you are in Jindal in the first 2 years. So your move forward to Deakin after 2 years is quite clear, certain, and uninterrupted. I would also like to give a quick analogy. It's like Indian cricket team going to Australia on a tour. So first match is going to be played in one stadium in one city, and the second match is going to be played in another city in another stadium. So when a player signs up for this Australia tour and he or she is picked up, then they have to do all those cities and all those matches moving around in the country. So it's pretty much like that. When you sign up for Global BCom as part of this partnership, we are also paving your way and clearing it up for your move to Deakin University. All right. Thanks, Kavya, for that question.
Yeah.
Colin, I hope I've not missed out on any important part. Well, there's one more thing. Yeah, do you want to add something to that, Colin?
No, I was just going to say perfect. And I loved the analogy. I think it was spot on.
Thank you. Yeah. Kavya, one important thing came to my mind, and you will be explained all of this in the provisional offer letter, that there are these some requirements that are not imposed by Jindal or by Deakin, but those are related to your visa. And those requirements are not really tedious, they are language requirements. So there might be an IELTS test or some other English language test, which is kind of standardized for anyone. So those things we'll share with you in the very first year of the program, so that you have the entire second year to prepare your paperwork. We'll guide you through that process. There's an entire expert team sitting in the Delhi office of Deakin who's going to be working with us to provide all this information.
Yeah. We have another question coming from Anshuman Rao. This is regarding the visa process. So Anshuman asks that will we require the student visa, or is there some different kind of visa which makes us eligible to work? Ashish or Professor Collins, either of you can weigh in on this question.
A student visa is required, and that is built into part of the whole process that will support you through. As Ashish mentioned, the student visa is allows you to work 40 hours per fortnight while studying, and it also enables 2 years of post-study work rights upon completion. So those 40 hours of working while you are in Australia are very, very valuable, because that is also an additional way in which you start to build some of your local business networks. And you can work in an unlimited number of hours during university breaks. So that's a very generous offer. And the university, once you arrive at Deakin, we have a very sophisticated employment service called Deakin Talent, which in 2020, in the middle of a global pandemic, won an international award for the support that it provides to international students for employability. So a standard type of student visa is required. That information is available either by contacting the OPJ dedicated line to assist with the application process, or the Deakin office here in India. That's straightforward. We'll work with you to secure that visa in plenty of time. As Ashish mentioned, there's sometimes a couple of conditions associated with that around English language, but it should be straightforward given your accepted application into the integrated program. And then just to summarize, for the employability side, when you are in the country, you are able to work with that visa and stay for 2 years post your program to work full-time in one of those organizations that you seek to stay and work with.
Thank you, Colin. If you allow me, I'll add something to that, and it might be reiteration of a few things you've already said. But I know that some parents who are listening in, they might have concerns around this. So let me explain. Typically when universities, even in India, in the other programs that we offer in JGU, we offer a wide range of international opportunities. They can include year abroad, semester exchange, short-term study abroad, summer schools. All of those are basically short-term. They are from 2 weeks, 3 weeks, all the way to 2 semesters, meaning 1 year, but nothing beyond that really. And no matter which program you choose, if it's a foreign country, typically you would require a student visa, and a tourist visa is simply not good enough. And that includes Indian students traveling to Australia. Now, what's unique and quite interesting about this partnership that we have, Global BCom, B Business, and MBA International, is that it is longer than that. By design, you spend 1 year in that undergrad degree in Deakin and 1.5 in the MBA International program, making it 2.5 years in Australia in total. Now, even if it's 2.5 years in Australia, you can still do all of that based on the student visa you're going to get, right? Maybe there are some cases where your student visa might be for 1 year initially, and while you are in Australia and you're closer to completing that first year, your visa is going to get renewed and extended, right? But those are all procedural issues. The point I'm trying to make is, all the other short-term opportunities that we offer in Jindal, a lot of other universities in India offer to students, do not really make the students who are in other countries eligible to work after the program is completed. This program takes advantage of a certain immigration rule in Australia, not immigration, but for people coming into the country from other nations and who want to study and work for some time. There is a concept of post-study work rights. That's just a long version of saying work visa. Post-study work rights, you can apply for them only when you've spent 2 years of full-time studies in Australia, right? And with this partnership model, you study for 2.5 years, right? With the 1 year in Bachelor of Business and 1.5 in the MBA. So remember, the partnership does not automatically confer post-study work rights to you. Let me be very clear. You just fulfill the eligibility to apply for one. And there is a lot of data that we have, and Deakin's team has shared with us, a lot of Indian students who undertake this MBA International program at Deakin. They do really come from business or commerce undergraduate backgrounds. Your chances of being absorbed in the Australian labor market or the workforce, particularly in one of the MNCs, also get enhanced when you are a graduate of a leading university like Deakin. Depending on the nature of the offer you get from a company or an organization in Australia, that visa process might change a little bit. But it really, spending 2.5 years will expedite your process of staying for a bit more, working there and working on your plans. Okay, I also, Colin mentioned a little bit about Deakin Talent. That's a very important program and initiative that Deakin has. Please read it up online. Deakin Talent is really a way to equip all the students with all kinds of appropriate skills and industry knowledge that's needed. On top of that, I want to mention one more website, which I think is important for all of you to know, irrespective of what decision you take at the end of this meeting. That website is called compared.edu.au. compared.edu.au. It's an initiative of the Australian government where you can compare different Australian universities. It is not run by a private agency or any other organization. It is run by the government. And you can compare Deakin and their strengths in pretty much all the parameters and areas compared to any other university in that region. So if you are very serious about studying in Australia at an undergrad or postgraduate level, then you are encouraged to take a look at this website. It'll answer a lot of your questions.
Thank you, Professor Ashish. We have a couple more questions coming in on the chats. There's a question which is posted from a student, which has been relayed by one of our admission team members, Pradeep Batra. The student asks that what are the opportunities after a degree from JGU and Deakin? Are there any placement? Are we likely to get any work opportunities in Australia once we complete this degree?
Great question, and I'm happy to jump in there. The analysis that we've done of our graduates of the MBAI program, which does attract students from all over the world, it's a very multicultural program. 93% of the graduates from that program do go on to work in a multinational organisation or a national organisation. The employability rate is very high. The sorts of jobs that they go on to do include things like business consultant, business analyst, financial accountant, project manager, HR manager, business development manager, and so on. And the reason why we do have such good outcomes in that employability space is because of some of the industry connections that we have and how they, as I mentioned before, how they're built into the program from day one, the way in which we foster those connections between industry and students during the study process, and also through that award-winning Deakin Talent program. Many of the organisations that our students have gone on to work with include KPMG, Morgan Stanley, the National Australia Bank, Accenture, Ford, Standard Chartered, PwC. So we can demonstrate the very high rate of employability of our students in these programs. They do value, and what's important about that is that we also engage those employers in our advisory board. So when we design our programs, when we design this program, when we sat down with Ashish and his team at OPJ, and when we looked at what the program needed to include, we were driven by what employers are looking for. So the only reason why we're doing this is because this is the best possible way for us to share the skills and to share the knowledge that employers are looking for. Our reputations, both of the reputations of our organisations, rest on the ability of our program to lead to the types of employment opportunities that you're seeking. And I think also the unique way in which this program is put together actually also demonstrates to employers that you have invested in the long term around your career development as well. That's what employers are looking for. They're looking to see that you've made that investment in your professional and personal development, that you've had the foresight to bring the best of the both worlds together, and you've taken those opportunities through those available at OPJ and those available at Deakin to secure those types of employment outcomes.
Thank you, Professor Collins. There's a very important question that's just come our way on the chats. It's from a parent of Banit Chawla. They want to know about whether, Professor Ashish, probably you could take this question. They want to know whether OP Jindal Global University will be in touch with their child, even once they complete their period of study at OPJGU. After 2.5 years, and once they head for Australia, will OP Jindal Global University also continue to be a point of contact in addition to Deakin University?
A great question. Thanks for that, Mr. Chawla. While we fully trust our partner in Deakin, and Colin has talked about the various support services, support systems, mentoring services, career services. We will stay in touch with each student who goes from JGU to anywhere in the world for any kind of program. It could be a 2-day conference or a model United Nation kind of a competition away from India, or it could be a more comprehensive partnership like this one, where the student is going to be away for 2.5 years. It doesn't matter for what purpose and for what duration our student is going. It doesn't matter where he or she is placed in the class performance roster. we take full care and we stay in touch. We in fact have 2 different dedicated offices who are going to be in touch with students, additional to the system that the student will be part of within Deakin. These 2 offices are the following. One is the centralized admissions process, and my colleague, Professor Mercy, is here. She's the Vice Dean of that admissions office. They keep a record of all students who are moving to another university for whatever purpose. So that's one. They constantly and continuously share information, and they ask about the well-being of the student in a foreign location. The second office is more school specific. So within the School of Banking and Finance, we have a separate office for alumni relations, and we have a separate office for international strategy and mobility within the school. This is separate from the centralized office. There is one faculty member who's in charge of staying connected with any and all students of JSBF, the School of Banking and Finance, who go to another university. So they schedule a monthly or fortnightly quick call on Skype or on FaceTime or WhatsApp video call, just a general chit chat. The student is no longer with us, so they feel less inhibited to talk and share about their feelings, about their experience, and they really open up. So don't worry about Banit at all. Deakin will take good care of Banit, and we will stay in touch throughout the course of the 2.5 years.
Are there any other questions? We have just about another 5 minutes to go. So should any student have any other questions, our panelists would be happy to address your queries.
I see, Mercy, there's a question there about the internship opportunities that are
Yes,
available at Deakin, and that's a really good
Collins,
question.
Please, yeah, you can go.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And we have 4 different internship opportunities available at Deakin through this program. And these are really designed for you to choose your own pathway around the things that interest you and how you would like to approach that. One of them is a consulting experience. If you're wanting to develop your skills in consulting, then this is an option for you to work on a real live industry project with industry representatives to solve a real challenge. And that can be individually based, or it can be team based as well. And often there's a wide range of these different internship projects that are available that not only provide you with that exposure as a consultant, but also to provide you with an opportunity to develop your skills in a particular industry or a particular sector or a particular type of organization. So sometimes they're not-for-profit opportunities, sometimes they're corporate opportunities, sometimes they might be in manufacturing, sometimes they might be in the services sector. We also have an entrepreneurship experience. A lot of our students really want to be the next Elon Musk. They want to be involved in startups. They're really wanting to create new ways of building a better world or a different world going forward. So there's opportunities to take an internship in that entrepreneurship space. We also have some international consultancy experiences. We've been running these virtually over the last couple of years due to the pandemic situation, but these are where students travel abroad to the United States, into Europe, also here to India, and work on international consulting opportunities as well. And that provides another way to broaden your experience as a global professional. And we have some other short-term, locally based internships that might be working in an organization in a particular disciplinary area. So it might be working in an organization to assist them with their digital transformation process. It might be working in a not-for-profit organization, a disability support provider, to assist them with introducing some processes for business analytics and to understand data and the opportunities that come from data. So the point is, yes, there are 4 different basic genres of internship experiences. They're available to you, and they're available for you to broaden and to strengthen that portfolio or that profile that you're trying to develop as a global professional. They enable you to follow your own direction and to develop the skills where you're wanting to position yourself ultimately.
Mercy, can I take the question?
Yeah,
the last
absolutely,
one?
absolutely. Please go ahead.
It's all the anonymous attendees are sending really great questions. So I'm going to take the last one. Do you really wait to give admission offer till grade 12 results are out? Because a lot of students and parents may want to decide and narrow down on the list of universities prior to that. You're absolutely right, and we do not wait for the results to come out. This is based on past experience. Three reasons. When you're filling out your application form, you simply leave the section and the column on class 12 result blank because you don't have those results handy. We will process the entire application even with that blank cell. You don't have to worry about it. As an applicant, as a prospective student to JGU or for the Global BCom Honors Program, we know that you've put in a lot of effort, and the results that are going to eventually come are going to reflect those efforts and the hard work. We will extend a provisional offer letter to you. Once the admissions process is complete, you accept the offer, you're very much part of the university and this program. And after your grade 12 results are announced, then we will request you to share that information with us. I think we've answered the question on internships. What happens after 2 years of job? Well, that depends on how well you do the job, isn't it? If you do a good job, then I can guarantee you that you'll not only get promoted, but you'll also get good increments. If that's what you meant to ask, one has to get different kind of visa to continue. I think we've addressed this question a little bit. Beyond 2 years, after you complete 2 years of full-time education in Australia, the nature of the job offer you get and from which company and which organization will pretty much affect what kind of visa you need to apply for. I think that's a bit ahead in the future. Right now, the focus is on helping you get into this program and helping you get a student visa so that you can study 2.5 years in Australia smoothly without any disruptions.
Yeah, the only thing I would add to that, the only thing I would add to that is it does rest on the relationship that you form with your employer in those 2 years following the degree. An employer will need to sponsor you to stay in Australia beyond that time. But that's why it's so important that we build in those employability skills and those employability options into the program. Those that do well get good jobs, and the employers work with you to secure that opportunity going forward. That's the same with any program in Australia for international students.
Colin, there's a question from Mr. Chawla again. MBA points, are MBA points going to be added in PR for Australia?
Yeah, so the migration system in Australia is dynamic. So the skills list and the sorts of things that the migration system preference at any point in time does change. It usually depends on what the national circumstances are at the time. So by the time you would be completing this program, it's going to be looking somewhere towards 2026 or 2027. Really no way of us knowing what the government's preferences are going to be in the labour market for migration purposes at that time. What we do know is that they do privilege those that have good skills that are demanded by employers at the time. And that's why this program has been designed to meet as closely as possible the intelligence that we're getting from employers about the skills that are in demand. But no university can guarantee that a particular program is going to provide more or less opportunity to secure that more permanent migration.
All right. I think we've taken most of the questions. Are there any other questions we've answered also? Questions related to job placements for graduates? I think maybe that's a very important question.
Colin, yeah, I just want to say that in the brochure, there is a page 19 dedicated to Deakin Talent, which Colin has already talked about. There is also a QR code on page 19 that you can scan and visit the Deakin Talent website directly. That's Deakin University's Career and Employment Service group and website. So a lot of the answers to your questions might be there. But Colin, you can add more if you'd like.
Yeah, a really good question. I would be so bold as to say there's a job for everybody who wants one. So there's a part of that is your responsibility, and part of that is our responsibility. So the better you do, the better you focus on developing your skills, doing well, being focused on your study, taking all of the opportunities that higher education study offers to you, puts you in the best possible position. Our side of the deal in that is that we put together the programs that employers are looking for, frankly. We don't offer programs that nobody wants. So our side of the deal is making sure that what we provide to you, it puts you in the best possible position. And the third part of that, what we promise to provide you, is that Deakin Talent service, which is award-winning, consistently wins awards, consistently underpins the global rankings that the university has. And that includes things like employer expos and employer services, where large employers come to the university to say, we are looking for these jobs, we're looking for these roles, we are looking for people to fulfill these roles. This is what you need to do in order to secure one. Deakin Talent also has a job placement board. So we actually enable you to apply for the sorts of jobs that you might be looking for. Promotion of international job opportunities, both in Australia and elsewhere. And also they help you with workshops and events to support you in making sure that your approach to employers is the best they can be. This includes resume development, interview techniques, starting to identify the sorts of things that you're best suited to, what types of jobs. You know, we know some people are really good at analytics and numbers and analysis and understanding complex problems. Other people are better at more creative marketing, strategy, HR, leadership type roles. So Deakin Talent help to nurture what your profile is, provides you then with the services to secure some of that work experience opportunities, to develop your profile, to develop your LinkedIn profile, to develop your resume, and then to support you in that employability process. So it really does boil down to being partly your responsibility and partly our responsibility to make sure you're in the best possible position to secure those job opportunities.
Professor Colin, there's just one more important question that I think you'll be able to address. There's another student, Aditya Narayan Singh, who wants to know, how's the environment in and out of the campus at Deakin University?
Yeah, that's a great question. And look, you know, there's something that I've been working at Deakin now for nearly 10 years, and there's something that everybody says about Deakin when they come, and that is there's this vibe about Deakin. There's a vibe on campus. It's obviously the last 2 years have been quite challenging in terms of the pandemic, but Deakin is a friendly place to be. There's people in cafes, there's people in restaurants, the student accommodation that's on campus creates a very vibrant atmosphere. It's a multicultural environment. We have students from China, we have students from India, we have students from Sri Lanka, from Vietnam, from Kenya, from the United States, from Europe. There's a lot of vibrancy on campus. Every year, the university celebrates Diwali, for example, and other major events around the country. There are fairs to do with, you know, cricket clubs, and there's debating societies, and there are chess clubs. It's a very, very vibrant atmosphere, and they are the sorts of opportunities where those lifelong networks thrive and develop and flourish as well. People, as we all know, university is the place where you make those lifelong friends. There are people that I met when I was an undergraduate student that I happened to sit next to on the first day of my university study, who has ended up being my best friend for the lifetime. There's a Deakin India Society, there's a Deakin India Club, there's a Deakin Society of Asian Australians. Outside the campus, Melbourne is one of the world's most livable cities. It's a very multicultural city. There's many of the services that are available on campus are also available outside the campus as well. Many of our students join local cricket clubs. Many of our students get jobs in local restaurants, local stores. It's very easy to get around in terms of public transport. Most people live close to the campus. I'm from New Zealand myself. I've lived in Australia for about 15 years. Melbourne is one of my favourite cities in the world. It's got that energy about it. It's got a very progressive, a very welcoming, a very progressive and a very inclusive living environment. It's somewhere that you'll love to live, and it's somewhere that you'll cherish the experience that an opportunity like this provides.
Thank you, Professor Colin. Can we probably take one? There's probably one last question, which there's an attendee who's posted it, wants to know that is there a possibility of while they're enrolled and they're studying at both at Deakin University to enroll for a sports management program as well?
You're on mute,
Sorry.
Colin.
Sorry, not at this stage as part of this agreement, but we do have the sports management programs available for application and entry, but it's not included as part of this integrated program.
All right. Thank you, Professor Colin, and thank you, Professor Ashish. I think we've taken most of the questions, all the questions that have been posted in the chats. And while we would have loved to continue the conversation where we will have to close the session, but we will continue. You are always welcome to continue to keep in touch with our both Deakin University offices as well as Jindal Global University offices in Delhi. So thank you all for we come to a close of this session, but thank you all for your participation in this open house session, and we hope you have immensely benefited from this session. Before we close, I would like to thank our partners and our team from Deakin University, Professor Colin Higgins, and also Ms. Ravneet Pava, Vice President, Global Alliances and CEO, South Asia, Deakin University, and other members of the team, David Das, Deputy Director, Associate Director Priyanka Singh, and Senior Manager Basab at the Deakin University South Asia office in Delhi for the support in organizing this session. I also want to thank my colleagues at Jindal School of Banking and Finance, Professor Ashish Bhardwaj, Professor Chabi Asrani, and Mr. Anish Thiman, the Deputy Director of the Jindal School of Banking and Finance Admissions and Outreach Team, for their mentorship and guidance in steering this program. We hope all of you have benefited from this session, and we look forward to hearing from you. And please feel free to connect with us. Our teams at both Deakin University and OP Jindal Global University will be happy to address any queries and concerns you may have about the Global BCom Honors Program. We look forward to seeing all of you on campus, and hope you will be able to see this unique opportunity that is being offered to you to study this program under the aegis of the Jindal and Deakin Educational Partnership. Thank you all once again, and have a nice day.
Thank you very much. A pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.